Hey everybody, this is Jared with Ductless Plus, and we're going to make a video today to help you choose the best ductless mini split system for you. Everybody has different needs. You might need to have a heat pump that's going to do cold climate heating and air conditioning in the summer, or you're just going to probably need, a mild standard area. You're just going to need a traditional heat pump. If those are basically the items that you're going to need between the two, always keep that in mind. Your area of the country you live in is really going to determine that. So if you're in a cold area where you're going to see negative temperatures throughout the winter, you're really going to want to go with a cold climate heat pump. Your winter and your climate is above 5 degrees, then you can totally get away with just using a traditional heat pump. They'll work perfect for you, and they also are a little bit more efficient than a cold climate heat pump. And then you also got to think about if you're going to be just needing a cooling only unit. So some people live in various areas throughout the country that just basically need air conditioning. So once you've decided the style of unit you need, if it's a cold climate heat pump or a traditional heat pump or a cooling only system, the next step that you're going to want to do is to perform a manual J report. And what this is basically it's an ACA approved method to go into your home, measure it, and determine the load that you need for each individual space. Some spaces are going to need less, some spaces are going to need a little more. So by doing a manual J report, you're going to be really, really accurate on the sizing of your system. So the reason why you want to do that is because you don't want to over purchase or you don't want to under purchase. Here in Colorado or in areas throughout the country that has various elevation changes, you also need to be very, very careful. They have a thing called a D-rate factor. So all mechanical systems are designed at sea level. So when you're living at sea level altitude or elevation, your machines work a lot more efficient down there than they do at elevation. So depending if you're in the Denver metro area, you can see what they call a D rate of anywhere from 17 to 19%. And if you're in the mountains like Vail, or you can see it even higher in like the high 20s. So you got to be really careful on your determination of which system you're going to want to go with. That's one of the most important things when you're picking a mini split out for your area. After you've decided your sizing, you really are going to want to find out what you want. Do you need multiple rooms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even more? So thinking about that is very critical. You can do a different style of system, which is a multi-ported system, or you can do a branch box style system, which is personally my favorite because I feel like those systems are a much more cleaner install than running a bunch of pipes everywhere off of a multi-ported system. Or maybe you just need a 1-to-1 unit, which is one indoor unit, one outdoor unit, right? So let's say you have an area throughout your house, your existing mechanical system works great everywhere, but this one small room or this big area, your master bedroom, you're just gonna need what we call a 1-to-1 application. So always keep those into consideration when you're gonna be acquiring a product. What style of indoor unit do you want? Do you want a wall unit? Do you want a ceiling cassette system? Do you want a floor model? And keep in mind too, all these machines are basically installation specific. So if you have an ability to put a ceiling cassette in, I really highly recommend that. A lot of people, contractors, I hear they're nervous of putting them in or they're unfamiliar with that product. However, I feel like the ceiling cassettes are the most ideal solution for your home. I personally like them because I always say this to my customers is your ceiling is an empty canvas. There's nothing really in your ceiling and people don't sit there and stare at the ceiling, right? So when you have a unit on the wall though, they can be a little bit more of an eyesore. So I really truly enjoy purchasing, the ceiling cassette systems and doing a ceiling cassette because they just look the best to me. You might also need, depending on your walls, If your walls are real low and you don't really have a lot of wall space, you can always go with what we call a floor unit. So they're really kind of small. They look similar to like a modern radiator that you would see off an old style boiler system. Okay, so that's something that you really want to consider once you've come up with your, where you live, your climate, what style of unit you need, if it's a multi-zone or one-to-one or branch box style system. Then pick out your units you want. So make sure you think about that a lot before you decide which way you want to go. Then once you've decided the units you want, I would highly recommend you also start thinking about controls. Let's say you have a very big house, you got 4 or 5 units upstairs and maybe a couple of units downstairs. You might want to have a different form of control. So they do make Wi-Fi controllers that you can control every single unit in your home, basically from the ease of your smart device, which could be your phone or a laptop or something. I prefer the phone. I feel like everybody has a phone on them today. So grab your phone, pull it out, pull up the Wi-Fi app, which is called Kumo Cloud from Mitsubishi, and then you can see every single unit throughout your house. You can turn them off and on. You can see if there's also an error code as well. So I really do like that product. I feel like it's a very easy way to be able to maneuver through your system from the comfort of one sitting area. If you're in the living room or you're in your bed, or let's say you're even on a trip and you're driving home, you can always simply pull out your Kumo Cloud anywhere in the world, dial up that system and see what it's doing. Let's say you left town and you're on vacation and all of a sudden you're hearing that there's going to be a real big winter storm coming in and you forgot to turn your system on to warm your house up just in the event of possibly freezing your home. You can just simply turn on your Kumo Cloud app, fire up those systems and warm your home up. I really like that product. Also, I really do enjoy installing the MHK2 wireless thermostat that you link up with your Kumo Cloud. I like those two combinations the best, just because I'm not a big fan of the remote control. They do work, they're fine. However, the remote control is not going to give you a digital display of your thermostat's indoor room temperature. It's basically just going to give you your set point. Also, I feel like they can be there's a lot of buttons on there, so you can get a little lost if you're sitting there trying to do setback modes and stuff like that. I actually do not recommend that. I recommend you just find a simple temperature that you enjoy and operate your system that way. The other thing is, once you get done with your installation, once you pre-installation, you really need to have a contractor perform what we call a DSB. So that's Diamond System Builder from Mitsubishi, and that's going to ensure that the contractor that's doing the installation is going to know the exact style of units you're putting in, the right compatibility combination, which is key, and then also it really helps the contractor out after the installation so that we know exactly how much refrigerant we need to additionally add. The machines that come from Mitsubishi, if they're a multi-zone, they don't have enough refrigerant in them to actually accommodate for 4 or 5 units. They only have so much refrigerant, or the standard amount that unit will have, depending if it's a 3-ton, 4-ton, 5-ton. They don't know if you're going to run 500 feet of refrigerant pipe or if you're going to be running 200 feet of refrigerant pipe. So they're only going to put in the factory refrigerant charge. So by doing what they call a Diamond System Builder, you're going to be able to input your line set distances, the indoor-outdoor combinations you did, and it'll tell you exactly how much refrigerant you need to install. So doing a DSB is super critical. One of the last things I really think that you should really think about as well is the contractor that you're going to pick. If you have contractors in your area that are unfamiliar with this product, I would really highly recommend you kind of steer clear of them. Do your due diligence, hunt around, find a good Mitsubishi contractor. I would recommend you use a preferred or an elite dealer in your area to come and do this work for you. And the reason why is because a preferred and an elite dealer are basically almost the same. It just depends on the volume of product they're actually installing every year. But they're actually Mitsubishi certified, and they also are very familiar with the product and the installation protocol. So picking the right contractor is super critical. Make sure that they do a really good job on the DSB, the design. They're informative about the different equipment that you're using, the different options. If you're getting guys that are reluctant to do certain things like a ceiling cassette or a recessed, ducted unit, there's so many options Mitsubishi has. So make sure you just really, really are very thorough about that before you decide which system you really want. But also keep in mind, that there's a ton of different options out there. So if you don't know about them all, you could definitely purchase something that you might not be happy with. So just do your research and find out exactly what's going to be best for your home and your look. I really think that that's critical as well. You have to make sure that at the end of the day, the installation is really, really good. I personally feel like cosmetics in mechanical is the most important thing. There's a lot of guys out there that are going to have a wife that's going to hate their wall unit, but would be absolutely thrilled to have a ceiling cassette or a recessed concealed system. Okay, but keep in mind there's always installation factors that come into that. So just do your diligence. Really learn as much as you possibly can before you decide to pull the trigger on what kind of system you like. Make sure that they are preferred or an elite contractor. Make sure that they do their DSBs, that they're doing their pressure tests, their evacuation, they're charging the system to what needs to be charged off of the DSB for the additional refrigerant, but then also make sure that they do register your product with Mitsubishi, and then also make sure that if their area, that wherever they're from, that they can help you acquire any form of rebates or any kind of money back that you can acquire from that area that you live in throughout the country. Here locally, our energy provider, which is XL Energy, they do supply consumers with a rebate. However, there is some criteria that needs to be met to determine the amount of money that you get back. So that's also another part of your decision making. Which unit you want is going to determine how much money you can get back here locally in Colorado. So, but everywhere across the country, I'm not 100% sure exactly what kind of rebates you have access to. And also keep in mind, the Inflation Reduction Act is going to be coming out next year. They're hearing stuff that's going to basically tell us exactly what kind of rollout that's going to be, around the middle of next year or maybe a little sooner before summer. So, but nobody really understands exactly how that money is going to be processed and how those rebates are going to be distributed yet. So we are going to be going to a IRA rollout program here on the 15th. We're going to go in there and find out exactly how that money is going to be getting processed and released. It's not just going to all be for heat pumps. There's other things in there that the money is going to be used for. So always have that into consideration. So I know everybody wants to use these, especially me, for heat pump consideration, but it's going to be a lot of other options out there that they want to use the money for. So just keep in mind that's the 5 easy things that you need to keep into consideration when you're going to pick out the best ductless mini split system for you. And I just want to tell everybody, thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys. We're so close to 1,000. If you can help us out, have your friends, family watch our videos, and give us a subscription, I'd really appreciate it. But thank you, everybody. Have a great holiday season. Be safe out there, and let's look forward to 2023. Jared out.